Chapter 19. What to Write. He was carried to Drobnaya station. Legaya carried him piggyback style. He carried him over the surface, since he was afraid to go down in the metro. Artyom was already coughing up rust-brown phlegm. While he was swinging his legs on Legaya's back, he kept trying to persuade them to let him walk on his own, but as soon as he stood on his feet, he fell to his knees. The mechanism was running down. The key in his back had almost stopped turning. But when they arrived at Svetnoy Boulevard, some spring in his chest clicked and decided to carry on whirling for a while. Artyom waved away the red fog in front of his eyes and straightened up. He sensed that he wouldn't have time to do much. He had to do just one thing, but an important one. He fumbled for the handle of the Nagant. Like that, the Nagant agreed. "Take me to Sasha. You hear, Lyoka? Remember where."
"Ah, you want a beautiful death. Want to snuff it on a chick. Nah, first let's go patch up the holes."
Oh sure, if it was just the holes. Something strange was going on in the Svetnoy station. It was jam-packed with fascist fugitives, lost, pitiful, battered. The fascists' railway uniforms had gotten soaked, and now they were drying out, shrinking, getting too small for them. As if they had been made for childish games or theatricals, but grown-ups had put them on and started doing everything in earnest. Their faces were scratched and smeared with mud. Their steel-tipped low boots had dried out and cracked.
"What is this? What's happening?"
Lyoka asked some whores he knew.
"The Reich got flooded out. Pushkin collapsed. The Tajiks made an extension. It collapsed, and then the stations next door. It all flooded."
"The Tajiks. Crooked work," Artyom said with a crooked smile. "It's all the Tajiks' fault. What bad bastards."
"Everybody scattered. From Tver they went to Glukhovsky, and the people from Chekhov came here."
"And what about the war?"
"We don't know. Nobody knows anything."
He had it coming, thought Artyom. Maybe the Lord really does listen and take complaints. Someone, maybe that woman in the barrow, managed to snitch to God before her head was smashed in with a reinforcement bar. The Lord counted up to the sinners and the righteous in the Reich on its abacus of bone and decreed that the Reich should be closed and sealed. But why did he ever open those premises? And what about Homer? "Do you know if an old man escaped from Chekhov station?" Artyom asked, pestering the railway workers. "Homer." They shrank away from him. They took him to the woman doctor. Among the bites from the barbed wire, she found a bleeding sore that the radiation had made in his skin, like an awl. "Not long left," she said. An urgent transfusion was needed, but the doctor for social diseases didn't have anything to transfuse or anything to do it with. She wrinkled out the bullet, cursing Artyom, poured fermented garbage into the holes, covered his back with a crumpled rag so that his flogged skin could ooze into that. And she gave him some painkillers long past their sell-by date. That improved things a bit, so that was where Savelli had gotten them from. "Now what do we do?" asked Legaya. "We have to find you a decent doctor, not this cunt Ivanova here. I'll squirt some red stuff back into you, with interest." "No, I'm going to the whores," Artyom said the moment his wounds felt soothing breath of the painkillers. "We'll settle up later." "And me," Lyoka winked. "I need a transfusion too." "If I was you, Tiomich, I think I'd pray instead." The guy shook his head. "Let's do this without the soppy stuff," Artyom replied. "Here, take some bullets." Artyom took them. "Will you go and hand yourself in?" He glanced into Legaya's crooked eyes. "Nah, the old man doesn't forgive deserters." "What if you hand me in?" "Then your Anka will scorn me to death," Legaya told him. "I'm not sure which is worse. Okay, I've got a little darling of my own here, down that way. If you get knackered, come over." "Shall I show you the way?" Lyoka asked. "No need, I've remembered." He really had remembered. They parted. As Artyom hobbled away, hiding in the crowd, he looked round again, and they really parted. He didn't want to ask anyone for help in this important job. Svetnoy station was swarming with riffraff. Which of them was an agent for the Reds, for the Order, or for Hansa? They were listening, searching for him. They had to be searching. His right hand was in his pocket, and he didn't loosen his grip on the revolver. But Sasha's place was empty. There was no one inside, and the little door was locked. He suddenly felt worried. What if Bestslov had taken her away, or what if something even worse had happened to her? Diagonally opposite there was a dismal little tavern with a few seats squeezed into it, partitioned off with straw rain from the ceiling to the floor. Artyom could position himself here so that he could see Sasha's establishment through the jets of straw, but no one walking by could recognize him immediately. Artyom looked at the closed door. He wanted to think about Sasha, but he kept thinking about Anya. Well, Vladivostok. Why hadn't he remembered Vladivostok before? It might have been easier for him to live with her if he'd known about Vladivostok. Beside him, two wet fascists were huddling together, muttering. They kept glancing round at Artyom suspiciously. He strained hard, trying to feel hate for them, but he just couldn't. He was completely burnt out after Komsomol station. To reassure them, he ordered some vodka to go with the painkillers. He couldn't even look at food. The very thought of it set his head spinning. Dietmar. He caught the rustle of that name through the deliberately mangled words. He hesitated, then made up his mind. Do you know Dietmar? He asked the pair. Who are you? There was a man working for him, Ilya Stepanovich. He was supposed to write a book, and he had another man with him, called himself Homer, a comrade of mine. Who are you, I asked. I carried out an assignment for Dietmar, Artyom confessed in a whisper, at Tetralnaya. An agent. The fascist moved and sat up close. Saboteur. Dietmar died heroically. I'm aware of that. All his network has moved over to me, the man declared. You'll be working for me now. I'm Dmitry. That made Artyom want to laugh. He used to observe Dmitry from somewhere above the clouds. From up there, a lot of things could seem funny, but not everything. Listen, man. Artyom wiped his lips with the back of his hand and showed Dmitry the watery blood. Let me die in peace. Radiation sickness. Dmitry got the picture and moved away. You're that stalker, are you? The one he recruited? Under the table, Artyom cautiously pulled the revolver closer so that the firing hammer wouldn't snag in his pocket. Did you know Homer? Weren't you killed back there at Tetralnaya? As you could see, apparently Dietmar had allocated him to the living space without any superfluous consultation. All right, if you're one of our veterans, don't yell. They're all years around here. They're here. They got out. They're drinking nearby, both of them. They're in my charge too. Shall I show you the way? Please do. Homer was alive, glory be. He had to find him. Can you wait a little bit, Sasha? Artyom had a week or thereabouts left, and Homer wasn't going anywhere. He needed to make his confession to Homer at least, for his notebook. He could write it all down for himself, about the pylons, the pits, and the mushrooms, and about the cartridges. Let him write down everything about the goddamn whorish order. And the most important thing, the most sacred thing, that the world was still there. He wanted a story, and here was a real story. The old man turned out to be sitting only 20 meters away. He and Ilya Stepanovich were drinking morosely, without clinking glasses. But when he saw Artyom, he lit up. Homer was disheveled. The fine gray hairs around his bald patch were sticking out. In the lamplight, they looked like a golden halo. He recovered. He was holding a chicken, the same one Olzheka's. No one had wrung its neck. No one had stuck it in the soup. It had even fattened up, well up on fascist feed, and it was sleek and glossy, the little pest. Artyom walked up the steps of the old man and embraced him. How long was it since they'd seen each other? A year? You're alive. And you're alive. How are you, Granddad? Well, how am I? Well, now Ilya and I started working. Homer looked at Artyom's guide. Hello. And how's it going? Artyom asked Ilya Stepanovich. Good, Ilya Stepanovich replied to Dmitry. We're writing, it's going well. That's great, said Artyom. Come on, Granddad, why don't we take a stroll? Thank you, Generals. He nodded to Dmitry. I won't forget it. Dmitry ought to have followed Artyom, of course, to eavesdrop, but behind him the straw rained, the mushrooms were getting cold, and the rock gut was getting warm, and there didn't seem to be any Reich anymore.
Don't set foot outside the station, Dmitry commanded strictly, until further instructions. They shuffled through the little rooms, women like beads threaded in the corridor. How could they find a more secluded corner here? The writing's going okay? Artyom asked Homer in the meantime. Not so great. What's up? Ilya's wife hanged herself. Therein. He's drinking. Well, when? When did it happen? Well, we worked for a couple of days but the Führer instead, he came himself every day, read it, asked questions. I had to work for both of us, basically. But then, Ilya has promised to make me a co-author, my name on the cover and all the rest of it. Flattering, huh? Mm-hmm. Artyom looked at Homer. What's it like? What's he like, the Führer? Well, just himself, in everyday life. Ordinary. Ordinary, said Artyom. Well, a most ordinary man, and no doubt he's some kind of Vasily Petrovich, too. Yevgeny Petrovich, Homer corrected him. Almost right, Artyom chuckled. Have you got to the freaks yet, in the textbook? We didn't have time, Homer answered, looking past him. And now who knows if we ever will. Everyone's scattered, the Reich's finished. The Führer's disappeared. The chicken spread its wings as if for flight, but Homer, already familiar with chicken's habits, held it away from him at arm's length. It huddled up and crapped on the floor. She laying at least? Artyom inquired. No, she's on strike. The old man smiled mirthlessly. Although I stuffed her full of eggshells, damned if I know what's wrong. They walked on, talking, past battered fascists and inspired whores, through other people's oohs and ahs, under the whistling of the horsewhip, conforming to the rhythm of other people's depraved love. Well then, you won't have to stifle your conscience, Artyom said, feeling the urge rising through his weariness. Tell the whole story. Now you can write your own book, like you wanted to do. My own book that no one will print. That depends on what you write in it, and what will I write? Artyom got the feeling that someone was tailing him. He looked back once, then again. The man seemed to have dissolved in the haze. Maybe he wasn't following Artyom, but just going about his jolly business, or maybe he dropped back to avoid catching anyone's eye. One hand on the gaunt. Did you find your Sasha? My Sasha? No, you. She's here, Granddad. She was here yesterday. I talked to her about you. Do you know? Do you know where she is? Yes. Is she all right? Where are we going? Shall we go to her rather than... And what does she do here? What do women do here, Granddad? She works. No, come on, Sasha, I don't believe it. Well, now, it's not true. And tell me about Hunter, is that true? That he became a hopeless drunk? I wasn't aware that you knew each other. Hunter? You know him too, where from? He was the one who sent me on my crusade, back then, against the Dark Ones, to get the missiles. Didn't I tell you about it? And didn't he tell you? Was that the reason he drank? Because of the Dark Ones, or what was it? Hunter, I don't know, we didn't talk much, not enough. You were writing that book about him, weren't you? Your own story in the notebook, so how come? I don't know, you know, he's not a genuine hero. I wanted to make him into a hero, so that people would read it and be inspired. So that's why you made him a teetotaler. How do you do? I told you, Sasha told me all this. Don't you believe me then? I have to see her, to take a look. I want to make certain. A bit later, be patient. It's important. Seems there's no one here. Come in, wait. I'll check on everything. And that about Hunter, yes, well, who would want to read about an alcoholic, to follow him? You understand, it has to be a myth, beautiful. People are sitting in the dark, in gloom, and doom. They need light. Without light, they'll degenerate completely. I understand, and now you listen. Artyom leaned down to the old man and whispered feverishly into his hairy ear. People are sitting in the dark because the light is being hidden from them. The West wasn't annihilated, Grandpa, and not all of Russia was. There are other survivors. Almost the whole world survived. I don't know what kind of life they have out there, but Vladivostok, your polar dawns, Paris, America. What? They're hiding them from all of us, using jammers. They're spaced out around Moscow. Radio stations that suppress the signals from other cities. What? It's Hansa, and my order knows about it. It serves Hansa. It bumps off everyone who reaches here from the outside, finds them and terminates them. Everyone who tries to contact the outside world from here too. That's why no one even knows. And I think the Red Line built wind towers for Hansa. There are wind generators standing out there in Balashika to supply the jammers with power, and the ditch dug with an excavator, a huge great pit crammed with corpses, and dogs eat them, dogs with 5 legs. The builders and the outsiders all together, and Hansa gives the red cartridges for that, or maybe not for that, just for supporting them. 20,000 cartridges, can you imagine that? Then the Reds are firing those cartridges at the mushroom riots, firing into the crowd. People even walk straight at the machine guns asking for mushrooms, and they mow them down, just mow them down. And people don't want to know anything. You tell them, you can get away from this place, out the metro. There's life out there up on the surface. Leave this place, and they still keep plodding on towards Hansa, walking into the bullets. That's why it's important for you to write all this down in the notebook. Yes, and another thing. They lie to everyone and claim that we have to be hidden in here because there are enemies all around us. They say the war's still going on, but it's all lies. I'm certain it's all lies. But what it's all for, I'll find that out if I get out of here. But in the meantime, you write it, okay? Write, so the people will know. It's important. Homer took his ear away and looked at Archim intently, as if he had to demine a tripwire. And compassionately too, but he tried to hide the compassion, because he realized the fishing line was invisible, and his compassion could snag it. "How are you?" he asked. "You look terrible, to tell the truth." "It's all up with me," said Archim. "There's maybe a week left, so you write, Grandpa. Write it down." "Write what down?" Everything I just told you." Homer nodded. "All right. Is that all clear? Shall I tell you again?" Archim half rose on his good leg and glanced out into the passage. "Not everything's clear." "What isn't?" Homer hesitated. "Well, it all sounds a bit strange, to tell the truth." Archim drew back and looked the old man over from a distance. "Do you think... Don't you believe me? Do you think I flipped out too?" "I didn't say that. Listen, I realize it all sounds crazy, but it's true, do you understand? And vice versa, everything you know about the Metro, that there isn't any life out on the surface, that we have nowhere to go, that the Reds are against Hansa, that Hansa are the good guys and the rest of it. Absolutely all of it. That's all lies. You've just been living with them for so long." "One city could still, maybe 2. Homer frowned and made an effort to force himself to believe Archim. "But the whole world, and jammers and Hansa." "Never mind that. You just remember it for the time being. You can write it down later. You will write it down for yourself, won't you?" "I'll be gone soon, Grandpa. I don't want all this to just disappear. This is a mission for you, understand? I found out really crazy stuff, and if you don't put all this in your notebook, no one will ever find out. Today I'm going to... Never mind, I might not pull it off, but you do understand. You can make a difference. Will you write it down?" The old man chewed on it. He stroked the chicken that sat there drowsily. "Even if all this is true, who published something like that? What difference does it make who? Well, how will they find out? Granddad, what do you mean? Why does it have to be printed? Homer, the other Homer, the real one, he didn't write anything at all, did he? He was blind, he just spoke. Maybe he sang and people listened to him." "The other Homer, yes," the old man agreed. "The real one," he repeated with a bleak smile. "All right, I'll write it down, of course, but you'll need to see a doctor." "What kind of way is that to talk? Only a week left. Let's go. Will you take me to her?" "Thanks, Grandpa. I'll tell you more later, in more detail. When I find out, I'll dictate it, if things work out." Homer didn't talk as they walked, something was ripening on his tongue, and he kept sucking at it, gritting his teeth in order to not let go. Then he muttered something. "And you know what else? I had to publish a couple of short articles in their newspaper. They forced me, you know, the kind of stuff about the breakthrough at Schiller." "But they forced you," Archim said to him. "Yes, they forced me." They got back. Everything there had changed. Dietrich and his comrade had finished eating and disappeared.
There was groaning coming from Sasha's little cubicle. She was quite all right. "This is it," said Artyom. They exchanged glances, and they sat down to wait behind the curtain, each staring into his own glass. Homer squirmed and coughed. Artyom listened intently to himself. What was happening in there? The wind was howling inside him, turning the metal blades, creaking and transforming itself into power, so that Artyom could spend a little more time on the earth. Where are you, white-bellied ships of the heavens? Where are you flying to on this wind? He gulped at his vodka. When he put the glass to his lips, a pink cloud spread out from the spot. A cloud as murky as the hooch spread inside Artyom. Sleep weighed heavily on him. How long had he gone without sleep? 24 hours. The groaning came to an end. Some goon came out, buttoning himself up. He smiled like a conqueror. What could be done about this? Homer darted off, shuffling in that direction. He dropped the chicken. "Sasha!" "Homer, you..." Artyom didn't move. It wasn't his conversation, but he couldn't help hearing it. "My God, you're here. Why are you..." "Sasha, I'm all right. I thought you were dead. I looked for you there at Tula. I'm sorry. But why didn't you tell me? Find me. How did you find me?" "Artyom, do you know him? He showed me." "Is he here?" Why are you doing this, Sasha? Why are you doing all these foul things? Why are they foul? You shouldn't. You mustn't do this. Come on, you collect your things and we'll go." Artyom stroked the barrel of the Nagant. "Not right now. Tomorrow. Or the next day, when Veslov came to see her. Let him answer. After that, by all means, all right." The chicken looked at him with its head cocked to one side. "Where to? I'm not going anywhere." "What are you saying? When they hold you here like this, in slavery, I'll ask." "No. I don't understand. You can make a living from something else if you have to be bought out. Do you have to be bought out? I'm not enslaved." "Then what is it? I don't understand." "I'm in the right place for me. Why don't you tell me about yourself? How's Hunter?" "I don't know. Good God. What does that mean, in the right place?" "I'm where people need me." "This is so raving nonsense. You're not even 18 yet. What are you talking about? This is a brothel, a den of vice. All these filthy men. This can't go on. We're leaving." "No." "Come on, let go." The chicken was listening, worrying about Homer, but Artyom didn't interfere. He didn't have any right to. And whose side should he take? "You mustn't do this. You have no right. You're not a prostitute." As if that's the worst thing that can happen to a human being. "You're a poor little girl. I lost you. It's my fault." "It's not your fault, and you're not my father." "I'm not even. Why do you have to be here? It's not what you want. Is that all? You thought I was dead. Here I am alive. What's the difference? I'm a prostitute or not." "You're not a prostitute." "Then who am I?" The man stopped at the open door. The shaved back of his head gathered into folds, a leather jacket puckered across his shoulders. A security guard, checking if the master would come in. Artyom rubbed his eyes, leaned forward, and looked left and right. Dark hair with parting bags under the eyes. Was there a man like that in the crowd? "You're not the kind of girl who lets herself for cartridges. Who allows things to be done to her? That's not the way I remember you." "I see. And what if that's the way I am now?" "No, this is disgusting." "Well, make me different in that book of yours. Make me the way you'd like me to be. What difference does it make what I do in real life? What difference does it make what happened to Hunter?" "What has that got to do with this?" "You finished your book. How? What happened at Tula?" "I don't understand. A flood. The water broke in." "A miracle. Do you have a miracle in there?" "That's not the final version." "Well, you corrected the slaughter into a miracle, so you can correct me. Make me a fairy. I'm sorry, it's time for my next visitor. I see them by appointment. Like a doctor. Make me a doctor." "I won't leave." The man with the folds on the back of his head listened to all of this, spat, and went away. Artyom went limp. He stroked Rabia with his fingers. The chicken was dozing. The Nagant was wide awake. The painkillers and vodka spun the den of vice round. They spun the world round. They spun Artyom's insecurely attached head round. Homer eventually came out, looking lost, as if he'd been dosed with icy water and zapped with electrical current. Why is she acting that way? You go. Go on, Granddad. Let me have a talk with her. Later. I'll see you later. Let's say in the same eating joint, where you and Ilya were. Give him my condolences. Are you one of her? Take a look at me. What could I do? I need to talk to her. Take her away from here, Artyom. You're a good boy. Sincere. Take her away. Sincere? All right. He knocked. She already heard his voice and wasn't surprised to see him. He swayed inside. Hi. You're back. Did you get your balashika? Yes. You look terrible. Sit down. Would you like anything? Water. Over here, this way. She was amazingly clean, Sasha. Fresh, no dirt stuck to her. After she'd been mauled and torn to pieces, she just tidied her hair and bounced right back. How'd she do that? How did women do that? Maybe they drank men. They're jammers in Balashika. What jammers? Sasha, that man you call Master, Basilov. Wait, what's this you've got here? Oh, God, what terrible sores. And this, you're hot. You've got a fever. Wait, did you hear me? This Basilov. Who is he? You've got a pistol. When will he come? Poor thing, you've got worse, right? See, the pervert, he used you that night. He used me, who watched us. Who introduced us? Listen, when will he come? I want to talk to him. I need to. What for? For a good reason. He's at the top of this pyramid. He calls all the shots here. He's got the Reds on a string and the fascists. Miller. I want to understand. What's the point of it all? All of us being stuck in the metro. What's the plan? I want him to tell me. Look, your scabs have dried up from the burn. Can I... That. You said I burned myself. Yes? Why did I do that? What for? You talked to him and burned yourself. To Alexei. I did? I mean, because of the order? It was the order's motto that I burned off. Did he tell me something about the order? What it does nowadays? Have you remembered? So you knew everything too. Artyom, do you want to lie down? You can hardly stay on your feet. He squatted down by the wall. Why didn't you explain to me? What did you send me off to Balashika for? There's nothing you can do about it, Artyom. Sometimes all you can do is burn yourself with a cigarette. That's all. And about the jammers? About the world? Yes. When will he come? When? I don't know. You do. You told me you can sense him. Tell me. What do you want from him? Hide me. Hide me, please. Hide me here. I'll hide you. She squatted down beside him, stroked his bare temples tenderly and the top of his head. Sit here behind the curtain. She closed the curtain. I can still do it. Everything can still be done. He carried on looking at the fabric with its design of little flowers, and in the heart of every little flower he saw the eyeless back of someone's head, an entire meadow flowering with the backs of heads. All the people from the Red Line were represented here, without faces, living only so that one day they would be shot in the back of the head. That was the pattern. Why? Artyom whispered stubbornly to himself, in order to not fall asleep. Even if you are the master, even if you are the devil himself, you're going to tell me everything. Why you treat us like this. Why you treat people like this. Why we have to stay here. And if you don't tell me, I'll blow your brains out. With this Nagant here, right between the eyes, you shit. He carried on lulling himself like that, and fell asleep. Thank you, that was Chapter 19 of Metro 2035 titled, What to Write. Thank you for listening, and good night.